Okay, and we are live with the G Spot, and this is Tisha, and I'm here. And if once again, this is season three. You know, we've been real sketchy and catchy with getting these interviews up in here, and I titled this one "This Person's Initials" because I really wanted it to be a surprise. And if you are here, and if you have questions while the interview is going on, I want you to feel encouraged to type them into the chat, right? We will see them. Well, if he doesn't see them, I will see them, and they will definitely go into the chat, and we're going to get a chance to have him answer them. Now, if you answer or if you put your questions in late, like post live feed, we'll still be able to pick them up. And today we are interviewing, we are sitting with, and as we can see, we have him outside. I see we're here with Davion Bussey. Did I say your name right?
Davion Bussey.
Davion Bussey. Davion?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So as with most of my interviews, the ones from the past and going up to current, I have gotten most of my extraordinary people. This platform is dedicated to extraordinary, everyday, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And listen, let me tell you something. We all have our favorites, which is our stars, people we see on the screen. We love them for who they are and la 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 la. But there are some people that are what we consider unseens in society, but we're seen by everybody. We're seen by a higher being. We're seen and known and famous to those who love us. But there are some people in society that are doing things, and this person is one of them. And I want you guys to give me a hearty welcome, give him a hearty welcome, and enjoy for this hour. So we're going to start here. Give us something about you, like your childhood. We're going to get into where you're at today and what it is you do, but tell us about your childhood. Give us how did Davion get started?
Well, long story short, I was pretty much your average kid, but he just pretty much loved movies. I watched movies as a kid. I was always like watching something in front of the TV. Even through kindergarten, through eighth. Also, as a kindergartner, it's an old news report where in the Star Ledger where I actually was introduced to Trudy from
I'm
what
sorry,
you
you
call it,
what?
I was introduced to Trudy when I was in kindergarten
Okay, who is Trudy?
from the Cosby Show.
Okay.
And so, of course, I got googly eyed because that was like I was a little crushing as a kid. It was like a little baby crush.
Okay.
So she came to my school and she did a reading, but it was just so what's the word I would say? Kind of weird, but also exciting as me because I used to watch her on TV.
Okay. So what was
So
that
then
like
you,
to see somebody from the TV screen right there in front of you?
well,
And how
sis,
old were you then?
I was like, wait, when I was kindergarten, I had to be like 6 or 7.
Okay.
So it
Now,
was like,
this
mhm.
character Trudy, before you go forward, I want you to give, because some people may not know who Trudy is. I know who
Tr-
Trudy is. I am a
Trudy
very
Huck, yeah.
fan. So tell us
Trudy
who
Huck,
Trudy is.
well, Huxtable is pretty much one of the daughters from the Cosbys. She actually Bill Cosby's, not real life daughter, but on the show daughter.
Okay. Now I remember
And
them having 3 or 4.
yeah, but the one with the pigtails
Okay.
that runs around, not Raven, but the second one. the second of the
Okay.
youngest is Raven, and then the second one was Trudy.
Okay. Gotcha.
So yeah.
And you were telling us that, you know, how you were starstruck, so to speak.
Hmm.
And
Like,
you got this
mhm.
person in front of you who's on TV, and you're like, ah.
I was like, oh my god, that's my crush. Oh, Trudy. So yeah. So that's
Okay.
how. So that's how that started.
Okay. So what about mom? Is there any at this point were you able to verbalize that this is what you wanted to do?
I think when I got to college, high school, I was still trying to find myself. It was more trying to be an engineer or a blue collar worker, but I felt as though learning engineering, it was, I learned fast because I always like to build computers and stuff, but it
Right.
wasn't my calling.
Right.
Like, as a kid, you will watch cartoons, animation, and try to figure out the voice acting and stuff like that. Um, and then you start to be intrigued about it. Like, you just be intrigued. And so there was times I developed certain voices like Donald Duck, Uncle Scrooge, the nephews. Then I developed other character voices like Batman Beyond, not Batman Beyond, Batman the animated series, which was Mark Hamilton's Joker as a kid. Then
Okay.
you start developing Mickey Mouse and Goofy because you that's all you watched and knew when you was a kid.
So which one was your favorite voice to I don't want to minimize it or trivialize it, but which voice was your favorite voice to echo or mimic?
See had that. I always been waiting for this moment. The Joker. Um, yeah, Mark Hamilton's Joker was my favorite.
Okay, now you got to stay now when you say certain things because
Mm,
you have privy to a lot of backstories. Like we know
yeah,
characters. I know I do. I have a little bit of like what directors and what actors do what. Now, when you say Mark Hamilton's Joker, who is
uh-huh.
Mark Hamilton and tell us about him?
Uh, okay, Mark Hamilton. For those who don't know, or those who are not a Star Wars fan, but those who are Star Wars fan, that is Luke Skywalker.
Okay. Now I'm familiar with the product and the brand and the series and the whole thing, but I'm
Mm.
not like a oh my god, like a Trekkie, like Star Trek fan. You know, I'm not. But
Well,
Mark
well, you
Hamilton,
you can't use. Well, I'm going to stop you right there. You can't put Star Trek, and Star Wars together. That's a
okay.
huge rivalry
Uh-oh.
amongst the whole
Sorry, I'm
sci-fi
starting a war.
fantasy.
Okay, so we're going to stay on track. We're going to stay over here
Yeah.
with Mark Hamilton and Star Wars. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, is he, because there are so many different versions of Star Wars, the brand is so expansive. Which
Right.
Star Wars was Mark Hamilton in?
The original, which is Star Wars. Um, what not was it Return of the Jedi? He was in all of them, to be honest with you, except for when they started adding the Rhea character. Once they add the Rhea characters, he didn't appear until the last Star Wars.
Okay, so
Or the
we're
right.
talking about the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah,
Ah, so Mark Hamilton is a little, he's a little seasoned. I'm going to have to Google
yeah,
him.
yeah.
Okay, so this is very this is good information because what this is doing, it's showing everybody who tunes in that you have some knowledge, you have a knowledge base on the very thing that we're about to lead into. Now,
Hmm.
let's go back to your youth. You got this huge crush on Trudy. You are starstruck. You have this idea this inkling that you would like to go into acting but you didn't make it public yet. Did I sum that up correctly?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about middle school. Like, what was your relationship like with? How was your household composition? Is it you and mom and dad? What's your? Do you
It
have
was
any
me.
brothers
It was
and
me.
sisters?
It was me and mom.
Okay, you have any brothers and sisters?
Only child.
Oh my goodness! So are you what they call a spoiled brat?
No. To be totally honest, no.
Okay, so mom didn't have it, or you? Is it in your genes?
Uh, what do you mean by that?
Like, do you like your mom? She was the one
Hmm.
that said you're not going to be a spoiled brat, or is it in your genes, like from dad or
I think it
whoever?
was. I think it was both.
Okay,
Because mom tried to make sure I wasn't the spoiled brat, even though she did certain things that could have made me a spoiled brat. But then in my mindset, I always looked at people as, or other people like, oh, you can come over my house and play video games. You can come over and do this. I wasn't really picky on designer clothes or anything. As long as you give me a nice shirt with a pair of jeans, sneakers, I was good.
now your mom was a single mom.
Yes.
Mom is a single mom.
Hmm.
Okay, so what was that like growing up in a household with one parent? What was that like for you?
It was, I think I didn't pay no mind to it as much because it was like where we lived, it was other relatives nearby. So it was
Okay,
like an apartment building. So you had your grandparents, you had your aunts, your cousins, your uncle. So I really didn't feel alone.
okay. So what was, and we're going to get a little personal. What was the nickname that your family members gave you?
Well, one of them normally gave me Davy, like Davy Crocker.
Okay, Davy. Okay, so now you're growing up and you're in this neighborhood and you have these
Mhm.
family members and it's going really well. How would you describe your childhood? Would you decide it average, normal? What would you describe it as?
I would say average normal because it wasn't, I really didn't experience isolation, separation. I experienced more unity, more family involvement. Like it was like I wasn't okay. It was like Home Alone without me being Macaulay Culkin. It was more family
Okay,
unity
okay, the Home Alone without Macaulay Culkin. Now I caught that one.
without being
Okay,
a
so
spoiled little brat. Yeah.
okay, what was the socialization like outside of the nucleus of your family when you went to school or when you ventured
Oh,
outside the household? What was that like?
I would say that one was kind of tough because I had a different mindset than everybody else's because everybody else was totally different. Some people were spoiled, other people were just put in certain predicaments where they didn't have the family dynamics where like I did, like where you had your mom, your dad, well, not your dad, your mom, uncle, family actually stepping in and being like trying to basically better you because
Okay,
everybody else
okay.
had. So it was a lot of jealousy and envy, and a lot of kids didn't quite understand me because I would think a certain way compared to others. And when I say think a certain way, my mindset was more, oh, let's be kids, while other kids was like, yo, let's do grown stuff.
Now, and I wanted to talk about that because in the middle school, teenage years, there's this
Mhm.
thing called peer pressure. How did you
Right.
deal with that?
Oh, I was calm. I ain't really got pushed too much about it because I would say about like around my junior or senior year, I did get approached by a group that wanted me to join, and I turned it down. Like because I was
How were
like,
you able
look,
to do that? Because in the neighborhoods in the community, now are you a native of Newark?
yes,
Yeah, how were you able to circumvent that? Because I mean, it was pretty tough with these
Well,
neighborhoods and these groups, and
but
saying no sometimes wasn't an option.
yeah, because but with me, it was like, okay, some of them already sensed who my mom was. So when they found out who my mom was, then that's when they backed down.
Oh, so let's talk a little bit about mom. What mom seems to be a powerhouse in the community.
Yeah.
So that
So
helped in
mom,
let's speak to that.
yeah, because she was more of she was a teacher's aide, then she became a clerk or a secretary, administrator clerk for the
Okay.
principal. But while she was a parent liaison, she dealt with a lot of parents that would come and check on their kids. And she was that, force where she basically talked to the parents, let the parents know about upcoming events. When parents wanted to come to the school, like come to get some type of information on what's going on. Let's say the parents finally have a day off, they will come see her.
Okay. So now was that a plus for you when you started to develop and when you started to develop into the school years? Was that a plus for you? Because a lot of times young children they pretty much are kind of like, oh, my mom is like out there in the community, no, like that. I don't care for that once they get to a certain age. Did you experience that?
Um, Not really. I know I had one incident where they misconstrued the situation, and some people, like some of the students, like, "Oh, you just like a mama's boy," and I was like, "No, I really don't care what my mama do. As long as my mom is her, and then I have my own personality." So,
Okay.
but there was moments where she had to bail me out of situations. So,
Okay. Was it a lot? How often was that?
like once in a blue moon.
Once in a blue moon. Listen, but listen, now let's talk about high school and dating. What was that like? Because that's
Wow.
around about the time when we're reaching puberty and we're finding our way in the world and we start to notice the opposite sex. Or did you
It
notice
was.
the opposite earlier?
I would say I've noticed later, like in my senior year,
Okay.
because I think my mindset wasn't really into dating. Like, yes, I was into women, but it was like I'm more into my fun, enjoying life, enjoying being a teenager. Let's play video. Well, I was a weird teenager because I was more into playing video games, reading comics, watching anime. Those were my
Okay.
hobbies.
Well, I mean, I know a few people that I saw a few because your
Uh,
generation is considered what? You're considered
Millennium.
Gen Y,
No,
millennial. You're,
millennium.
okay, so you're a millennial.
Mhm.
So with all that being said, that means that you're somewhere in your 30s.
Correct.
Okay. I'm good and good at this, right?
Yes.
So being a millennial
Hmm.
and what different generations have to say about millennials, which is the generation X, the generation Y, the baby boomers. And when I say
Right.
baby boomers, I'm going way back beyond the 70s and 60s. So
Right.
because you guys are a special generation, you're right on the cusp, right?
Right.
Of the millennium turning over. I'm talking about the 90s, right? Mid to late
Right.
90s, 2000s. We have some stuff to say about you
Okay.
guys. Now, did you know that?
Yeah.
Okay, what are some things that you've heard that other generations have said about millennials?
Uh, the crack baby generation. The rude. This. It was just like the rudest, the unapologetic, That's pretty much, but pretty much, I never fell into that category. I was more the one that I just went with the flow and did whatever.
Okay. So can I add to that?
Sure.
Now, some of those things that we've, and not myself, because I have a son who is a millennial, and so I sort of kind of get the whole thing because I watched the development, you know,
Hmm.
and everything that I'm about to say is really, really on the positive side. One of the things that I learned about my son, with him being a millennial, is that you guys picked up that computerized generation culture really quick. It was like my
Yes.
son was born with a keyboard computer to his fingers. Did I say that
Correct.
right? Very tech savvy, right? Um, and my son was advantageous. He was tech savvy when it suited him. But when I needed him to do something, it was like, oh my, I don't know what that is. But I know he know. It's just that he didn't want to be bothered with doing it for me. That makes sense?
Yeah.
The other thing about millennials is that you guys have a level of self-esteem that surpasses no other. It's like you guys are in a work. Like if you need to ask for the manager, or if you're being offered subpar service, you do not have a problem with advocating for yourself and saying what it is you need to say.
50-50 because it all depends on the environment and what things, it all depends on the environment, depends on the energy.
Okay. Okay. And that's the next thing I was getting ready to say. You guys operate off of energy. You guys
Yes.
go off of, yes, you guys do not have a problem with following your dreams,
Right.
which leads us to the next part and it ties in perfectly to what it is you were talking about in the first part of this interview with your dreams and having a crush. And at what point did you verbalize that you were going to be an actor?
I want to
When did
be, yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. I would say in 2007 when my friend added me into his movies.
How old were you?
I was at least 22 or 21.
Now, is this the movie that was premiered on Prime?
No, it was another director.
Okay, so I want to talk about that one on Prime, so let's save that on the back burner
Yeah.
for a little bit later. But let's talk about this first project. Is this your first project?
Yes.
Is this when did you get the acting bug? Because there's a difference in when you were starstruck and when you get the bug and when you are full blown. Did I say that right?
Right.
Okay, so you got,
Like, I would say
is
I
this when
got
you
the
were,
bug when, hmm?
go ahead, go
All
ahead.
right, I would say when I got the bug is when I did a Blake Zawadzki. That's the director of the film. It's a short film, but if you could check out IMDb, which is Independent Movie Database, and you look
What
me
is
up,
the name of
it'll
it?
be IMDb.
Okay, the database.
Yeah, you'll
Okay.
see the movie called Animal I Become.
Okay,
That
I
movie
will
won.
not say that 3 times.
I would say that was the first movie I actually developed great acting chops because he wanted me to play this mercenary who just looks. Can I curse?
Absolutely.
Okay, that looks badass. You
Okay.
know, my character had a shotgun. He was like, "Yo, if I had to take guys out, I'll take guys out." And I showed my acting chops, and he was very impressed.
So this is 2007.
Correct.
Now, after that project was done and the director said cut, and he told you, of course, how did that go that you guys entered into conversation about your acting skills?
Well, we were best friends since college, and we still are. It's just that when we have conversation, we'll go play video games and talk about movies, and then he'll talk about the movies that we worked on. Saying which movie he felt as though was the best film, what movie that he done was garbage. Like most movies that people see nowadays that be huge success, most directors be thinking that'd be their worst film that they ever did. Even though it's a huge success, but in their eyes it was the worst film.
Right. So so you guys had a conversation, and
Yeah.
it's after cut, and he told you that you got some chops. What what was that like? Did he tell you you had chops, or he was impressed
Yeah.
with you?
He told me
What
he was impressed with me. He
I
thinks
want to talk
that
about that feeling. What was that feeling after that?
it was like I really do see myself as an action star.
Okay. Did you have um at this point were you bitten by the bug?
Yeah.
Okay. So you
Yeah.
wanted more. You wanted to do
Yeah.
more. Okay, so
Correct.
you're in your 20s.
hmm
Now, what college did you go to? Let's talk about this because you mentioned him being a college student.
King University.
Oh, okay. So you went to King. And
hmm
now, is your degree in the arts?
Broadcasting communication. So it was media, film, broadcasting, communication. I really went to school for learning how to do broadcasting. So I
Okay.
had more experience doing radio because that was my style of focus, was being a radio voice jockey
So
individual.
you
So
do
once I
so
got
you do
into,
voiceover.
yes,
Oh, okay. So were you a VJ?
yeah, on campus had the number one popular show on campus.
Okay, so you want to give us you want to give us your little spew that you would shoot in the beginning of your
Uh, so it would go something like this. This is Jimmy. Well, no, no, no. Let me correct because it wasn't under my real name. It was under
okay, so
my.
give it to us.
This is Jamal Williams live at NJCU. Well, that's another college. I'm just making it up. NJ, whatever. Here live, we're about to basically throw another one, another music track from Kid Cudi.
So what was that like?
That was fun. It was fun doing radio. It was more conversation than it was playing music.
Okay.
So, I would have guests. I think I had one famous guest that was on our show, and that was Cat Williams.
Really?
Yeah, that's when we had the homecoming, and he did the show with us, and we had a ball with Cat Williams.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I want you to stop for a minute because I am like a Cat Williams fan. So I need for you to tell me how that interview went. Now, was it an interview? Was you just playing some of his stuff? How
It
did
was,
that go? How did that even
it
come
was
to be?
because
Tell
he
me
was a
this so quick.
guest, or he was a guest on campus. Like they had him as one of those, and celebrity persons that made an appearance on our campus.
Okay.
And what happened was they invited him to the show. I was like, okay, I'll do we'll talk. Like, we just talked about how campus life is here. And he was just cracking jokes. He was just like, not really cracking jokes. He was just being Cat Williams, like doing the
Yes.
whole pimp thing from Friday. Like, that was funny. Like, it was hilarious.
So did he make any type of impression upon you? I know you had the thing with Trudy
Yes.
already, and you got the acting bug. Now, at this point, had you had the acting bug, or did you have your first scene yet, your first role, or was Cat Williams before your first acting role?
Um, I guess It was kind of short. Hello?
How
It was like not really like when I met Cat Williams. It was interesting because I guess I was starstruck, but it was also, oh my God, it's Cat Williams. But keep it professional, and keep it what you call it. Keep it
right? You
professional and
wasn't like,
don't
oh
be.
my God, like
Mhm.
stars in your eyes, like when you met Trudy.
Yeah.
You had a job to do. Did I say that right?
Yep.
Okay. So you met Cat Williams. You had this role where the director was actually saying, wow, guy, you really have some chops. Now you got this bug. You're bitten by the bug.
You're right.
And so what do you do with this? What do you do with all this?
You just take it in. Just take all the knowledge, all the experience. There was stuff that they explained, like even there's behind the scene conversations that we have, that we took in knowledge, experience, this stuff we took.
Okay. So now we are going to talk about, and we like, I won't hold you. I know that you got to do something, but this is such good stuff. And I want people to get to know your path to where you are and where you got here. We are connected, you and I,
Right.
by way of our day job. I don't
Hmm.
mention my day job. You can mention it, but I don't. This is
I'm not going
really
to
a
mention
respite
it.
from that. But we met how many years ago did our paths cross? Do you recall?
I would say 13.
Woo! 13. And
Yes.
we're still gnashing swords at that place at that time. And
Right.
when I first met you, I want to just say this. When I first met you, I want to say that this was an awkward period for me, having a son who is a millennial and
Mm.
getting to know someone that works in the work, because in the workplace that we work in, I don't know if you know it or not, there's a lot of
Yeah.
seasoned professionals, seasoned
Right.
individuals. I won't say all professionals, but individuals. Did I say that right?
Right. Yeah.
So,
Seasoned individual.
right. So, and in doing so, what happens is that it was very frustrating getting to know you and helping you find your way. And that first year, I don't know if you remember or not, that first year with you and I was very, very rough. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to tell you in public, in front of everybody, I appreciate. First, I apologize, right? Second,
Mm.
I appreciate the young man that you have blossomed into.
And I appreciate you. And yes, you don't have to apologize. It's a learning experience. I have learned a lot, and it helped me understand. Not everybody. It taught me some things.
Right, right. Because let me tell you, coming into a place and being new, especially the place where we get our paycheck from during the day,
Yeah.
our day job, and it's very difficult, especially when you have experience. And I had
Mm.
succumbed to that. And I always said, I don't want to be that person.
Right.
When a new person comes in, I want to be welcoming and it was very, very difficult for me. So, but I want to touch on something before we close.
Okay.
You mentioned another movie, and it's 2007. Is that the movie that was showcased on Prime?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
All right. That movie is called Manhunt.
Okay.
I, and well, oh wait, no. That wasn't Manhunt. It was Lyco. That
Okay.
was introduced in 2007. It was introduced on Prime in 2000 and I would say 13th or 14th, and it was
Okay.
a horror slash martial art film.
Okay. I
Uh,
remember seeing this.
And me being a possessed character was really good.
Okay. So what we're going to do, because I see your message.
Yeah.
Can we pick this up at another time? Is there a possibility this could be a part 2?
Yes, it can.
Okay, so we're going to chime off right now. I just want to thank you for coming through. I know that we caught you at a really, really awkward time. I want to pick this up because this is really good stuff, and I want to dig into some more. I have a plethora of questions here. So we covered 38 minutes. I'll see you at the day place, and we'll sketch out another time when you could come back. But I'll label this as part 1.
Okay, not a problem. And
All
thank
right.
you, audience, and thank you, audience, for tuning in. And she's an awesome host,
Thank you.
phenomenal.
Okay, so I'm going to play my closing music. I know you can't hear it, but I can hear
Yeah,
it, and hopefully everybody else can hear it. And then we're going to get
right.
out of here. You guys,
Okay.
G Spot 967 on YouTube.com. Come through. Look at all the other interviews we've had. This is part 1 because our guest has to go. But we will definitely get back up with him. This is going to be a part 2, and there is going to be a part 2 to be TBA. You guys enjoy. Until we meet again. All right. I will see you.